Hey, hey guys, what do we know about Enon Harsh? What do we know about Christ Church? And could Enon Harsh be Papa Rogers? I mean, if you look at it, the way Papa Rogers spaces in between words, the double space, Enon Harsh does the same thing. And Enon Harsh's name on Reddit is I data when you sleep. I data when you sleep. Now, we all know that he's a chef, and his nickname is Chef Dizzy. And he's not a computer programmer. He's not an IT person. So why is his name I data when you sleep? What's he collecting data on? I mean, I would like to know, and I'm sure you, as my audience, would like to know what he's collecting data on. Is he collecting data on victims? Was he collecting data on the people that lived in 1122 King Road? And he has made the statement before that when he was 17, he had inadvertently walked into somebody's house without knocking. What would stop him from walking into 1122 King Road, quote unquote, accidentally, and maybe getting a test for the waters, or maybe just to see what was going on? Because, I mean, after all, he did claim to meet Xana and Ethan, and he did claim to meet Kaylee, and he gave Kaylee an open bottle of wine that he was cooking with, and he didn't want to just throw it away or dump it out. They found evidence behind 1122 King Road in the parking lot that's right behind 1122 King Road. And it was one single drop of blood. One lone drop of blood behind the house in that little raised parking area. I wonder whose that could be. Could it be Mr. Harsh's? We don't really know. And why did the killer choose that house instead of the other houses surrounding it in the area? I'd like to know why the killer chose that house. It's like they were singling that house out and not the other houses surrounding it. And you never know. Enon Harsh could be not only Papa Rogers, he could be inside looking as well. Because of the mistakes in grammar. All three of them share. Enon Harsh's mistake in grammar on his Reddit page, I data when you sleep, the Papa Rogers grammar, and Inside Looking's grammar. All three, uh, all three tied back to one person, Enon Harsh. And prior to the preliminary hearing, apparently, Enon Harsh was subpoenaed for this case. And yes, this case is a very complex case. This case is a one of a kind case. It's a once in a generation case. It makes me wonder also about Doug Wilson and Christ Church and how his faithful followers actually view the university and its many fraternities and sororities. And their loud and sometimes raucous sorority and fraternity parties. And some of the female students who lived at the crime scene were in sororities. So you never know exactly what's really going on in this case, guys. You really don't. And how come a private driver, or I should say a taxi driver, has revealed that the house where the murders took place was a known party spot, while adding that where people go to get drugs? The taxi drivers went on to add, I used to drive people there all the time where they got their drugs from. And don't get me started on Dylan and Bethany. Yeah, they're sus as all hell. Why is Dylan the only one mentioned in that PCA? You don't find Bethany anywhere except for the spot where it says their phones were digitally downloaded. That's the only time Bethany is mentioned. Through the entire PCA, it's Dylan. Dylan this, Dylan that. And what 21-year-old would say clad in black? She saw a man clad in black with a black mask. Now, see, I would believe it a lot more if she would have said, yes, I saw a suspicious person and they were dressed in black and they had a black mask, a black face mask on. Or I saw an individual, he was dressed all in black and he had a black face mask on with bushy eyebrows. See, those two comparisons I can believe. You know, I can get around the whole, I saw a man clad in black. Nobody talks like that. Seriously, nobody talks like that. And I'd like to touch on Brian. He was a newbie there at WSU. How do we all know that he didn't stumble onto something very suspicious going on there in at Washington State University, and he started asking questions about it? I mean, he could have came on like a little dirty secret that WSU was doing, and he's and being very intuitive, he started asking questions about it, and some of the people there at WSU started getting leery of him, started getting mad that he was sticking his nose into a place where it didn't belong. And maybe that's why he's sitting where he's sitting at right now. Because the university didn't like him being a new person, a newbie, didn't like him sticking his nose into a business where that didn't pertain. So, possibility that's why he's sitting in jail right now is he was framed because he discovered something that wasn't supposed to be discovered, and now he's paying the price for it. And just like uh, Rosendahl, the Moscow PD officer, who is creepy as all hell, who was harassing the victims, who took a picture of Kaylee's ID. Now, I know in some states that's allowed to do that. You know, the police officer is allowed to do that in some states. I'm not sure about Idaho, but I know in some states they're allowed to do that. But how come Rosendahl didn't do that at the house he had previously left? Because he was at 1127 King Road before 1122 King Road. And he didn't take a picture. He didn't take a picture of anybody's ID there. He only took a picture of Kaylee's. Why didn't he take a picture of Hunter's? Because Hunter was sitting right there. You know, that's baffles my mind. Hunter was sitting right there. He could have asked Hunter for his ID to take a picture of it. He only took a picture of Kaylee's. Why is that? And why are they so quick and to judge Brian? How did he come? How did he come across their radar so quickly? How did they blame him so quickly? Yeah, and don't say the button snap on the DNA. Don't say that. There was a molecule of DNA on a button snap, not enough to test. So what did they do? They fabricated a strand of DNA. A fabricated strand of DNA is what they're relying on. And just like Dawn Daniels said in her search warrant for Brian's office and Brian's apartment, she was basing the search warrant off of probable cause, not off of the DNA test, because she knew there could be a possibility that the DNA would be ruled inadmissible. So she wanted the search warrant to go off probable cause, not tied to the DNA. This entire case is sus, sus, sus. And what else do we know? Linda Lane. Now from now Stacy Chapin says 2 a.m. is a dark hour. And what would have her believe that? Well, for one, at 2:03 a.m., you could hear a dog bark on the Linda Lane. 2:40, you could hear somebody whistle uh, for a dog, maybe Murphy. 2:44, you heard the sounds of screaming and crying, and somebody saying, "Help me! Help me! Help me!" And then you have Enon Harsh stating that he went to bed between 2:30 and 4, but he wasn't for sure because he doesn't pay attention to the time. How does someone not pay attention to the time? Because he said the time he went to bed was between 2:30 and 4, but I don't pay attention to the time. Why, Mr. Enon Harsh, don't you pay attention to the time? And just like a clip I showed yesterday, there was a question. If he was such an introvert, why would he move into a party town / Greek row? And he dodged the question by saying vaulted ceilings, vaulted ceilings. Nobody cared. Nobody cares about your vaulted ceilings. That wasn't the question that was asked. The question that was asked, Mr. Harsh, is why, if you're such an introvert, would you move into a party town / Greek row? That was the question asked. He dodged the question. He didn't answer it. And what did Steve G mean by there's a whole other level of data being collected to open up more investigators? And what I know, it will all be brought out in trial next year. A whole other level of data being collected to open up new investigators. There's clearly something big going on in this case. Clearly. I don't know whether it be sex trafficking, human trafficking, uh, drug trafficking, possibly because they have the Quad City Task Force. And why is it you have two people that was arrested for murder for an overdose death of that University of Idaho student? Why were the charges just dropped? Are they working as CIs? I sure would like to know that, if they were working as CIs. But like always, like, subscribe, and share my channel. Hit that bell notification for any new uploads. And don't forget to catch my live tonight at 10 p.m. I will hopefully be having Sophie on panel. So y'all have a good day, and I'll catch you later on tonight.